Hey coin collectors, welcome to the Big D Coin Channel. This is DC on the Big D, and this is the 1970 United States $quarter coin. You see the one here on the left, the Philadelphia version, the one on the right, the Denver version. It says Liberty at the top of George Washington's right above his head, George Washington facing to the left. Under his chin it says, "In God We Trust," and down at the bottom is the date, which is 1970. You can see how these dates flatten out a little bit. I'll tip it up to give you, and they also become part of the rim as they go along. And this one, they kind of get chipped and they get worn, and there's a reason they get chipped and they get worn. I'm going to show you the edge of a bunch of 1970s, and you can take a look at them. All right, so this is these are all 1970s, and see how once you use them in machines over and over again, they just kind of get smooth on the edge. There's supposed to be 119 reeds around the outside of these, and they just get worn off. Well, not only does this get worn off, but the numbers get worn off, and you get a 9 that looks like this, that is, you're not even sure what it was supposed to be. It almost a Q-ish, but it was a 9, and it got kind of bent and beat as it went along. So, of course, these ones, we'll tip them up, and we'll see that these ones pretty worn also, and you can see that the copper sandwiched in the middle of the nickel copper outside and the copper inside. We tip them over to the back. You see it says United States of America on the top, $quarter on the bottom, E pluribus unum right above the eagle's head, eagle holding some feathers, and an olive branch below the eagle. These are both going to be the same on the Philadelphia and the Denver version. In Philadelphia in 1970, they made 136 million. In Denver, they made 417 million. And the S mint marks, the proof coins, they made 2.6 million. If you're looking for an expensive one of these, try to find the Philadelphia version in an MS 65 or over. If you can find the Philadelphia MS 65, which is gonna look really, really good, it's worth $12 in the U.S. Coin Digest, and the Denver version is worth about $6, whereas the S or the San Francisco Mint version, which is not silver, the non-silver version, is only worth $2 to $3 in the U.S. Coin Digest. Speaking of dollars, I want to show you a Canadian dollar. You know, we've never really coin dollars have never really taken off in the United States, and initially when Canada had them, they didn't either. This is one of the old Canadian dollars. This is a 1970 from the same year. This is from Manitoba. What they did was they did the provinces, so it says Manitoba here, and then there's a Canadian maple leaf, 1870 to 1970, and that is the Centennial of Canada. Canada actually became a nation in 1870. And so in 1970, they were at their 100-year mark. See, it says Canada, another maple leaf at the bottom, top and bottom maple leaves, and dollar. Canada dollar here. We see a pearled outer rim, which touches the rim. We see that it looks silver on the outside, but this is not a silver dollar. This is a copper-nickel blend, and it's just copper-nickel all the way through. On the front of it, you see another beaded exterior interior rim, but it doesn't touch. So see how this one kind of touches? It's almost like a grid or a gear that goes around. These beads do not touch, and they go all the way around. That's Queen Elizabeth II here, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. And it says, by the grace of God, Queen in front of her, Elizabeth II behind her. Now the U.S. has attempted a couple times to use dollar coins. Canada attempted through these province coins, and then they finally stuck on one when they came around to start using the loonie. And the loonie coin is one that has just really allowed Canada to get rid of their paper money. So it might be that if we keep trying, or maybe the Sacagawea will take off, because that's certainly a beautiful coin. But the other thing is that as we move towards plastic in credit cards and ATM cards and stuff, we're using less and less change, And the United States has actually started trying to produce less change, and we're in a coin drought. I don't know if any of you know that, but right now it's almost impossible to get coins for businesses or for banks. So let's look through a couple more of these. There's another Denver. There is another Denver. And remember, there won't be any P's on here, but there may be S's. This is a Philly. And when you see, sometimes you see these lines like this, but this is all, they call it PMD or post-mint damage, these dots like this. So this isn't going to, when you see some of those dots, it's not going to be an error coin. There's a really good D right there. That's, there we go. For the Big D coin channel, there's a great D. And if we compare that to the D here, we'll see. And we've talked about some years like 1979 where the Ds are awful, but in 1970 they had some good ones and some bad ones, and some lasted and some didn't. Here's another one. Look how perfect this one. Oh, it's a 1998. No wonder. Get that one out of there. Why would a 1998 be in my pile? It's hard telling. There's a good one. All right, so the Ds come in many different forms, but they're almost all readable in 1970. And look what happened to poor George. This one looks like it got run over or something. You can see the grit and the grade. Now I want to show you one other cool thing, and that is this is starting to get down toward the inside, and you see that this is a little layer over the top of the copper here. And that's what that grayish is, the layer that goes between, little tiny layer that goes between the copper and the nickel where they kind of blend a tiny bit. And here's another D. And this, again, we look over here. That's not damage. That In God We Trust. That is, well, it's damage, but it's not mint damage or mint error. This is what happened over the years as it got used. All right, that's all we have today from the Big D Coin Channel. It's DC saying, please subscribe to the Big D Coin Channel, and we'd love to have you leave any comments you might have in the comments section, and look for Canadian coins. I don't know if all of you know, but Big D has a Canadian coin channel also, and he has videos going up on that. So take a look at the Big D Canadian coin channel too.